And welcome back to the Crochet Crowd. I'm your host, Mikey, and today we have a scrap blanket. This is using Bernat Blanket. I end up with a lot of tiny little balls of Bernat Blanket that I don't know what to do with, and so I figured I'm going to try and do a scrap blanket for a change. So right in the very beginning of this blanket, I decided to just try to find all those little balls that I have, and as soon as I finished with the little balls, I end up stopping, and then I end up picking up larger balls to be consistent. So after the first part was done right here, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rounds, not that that's important, but I have 7 rounds where I changed the color as it was happening. The rest of this, except for the third last round, is just I combined the concept where I went around with the same color. So I used as much as I could before I had to change the color, and there was no color changing in the middle of a row coming forward. So then I ended up with little balls at the end, which I'll explain in a bit. So as this gets out even more, what's going to happen is that I just continue to use balls and just kind of figure things out. I tend to buy the same color of yarn, so it seems to actually work really well together. The only color that I used a full ball on was this color here because I didn't know what to do with it because I had just one ball. I didn't know what to pair with it, so I just did that as a consistency to get rid of that yarn. So everything else was a scrap yarn. You're going to notice is that right here, there's a blue color here, but it's not here. So what I did is that I just did a whole run just on one side of just that color, and then it was really close to being done. So then when I turned the corner, I changed the color and went down and so on. So that's the only round in the large one that I did that consistent. I didn't want it changing midway through because my eyes would gravitate towards that, but I don't mind the sides being like that. Without further ado, I'm going to show you how this is done, and this is a really easy concept, and you're going to blast through a lot of yarn, and it's a great opportunity to be able to support your community as well. So I'm going to begin. My first color is Bernat Blanket Mystical in the color called Cinder. I don't want to leave a long tail when I'm doing it this way. The other way, all in one, of course, you have to measure that out. So we're going to start, and that was the slip knot, and you're going to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And insert your hook into the beginning chain, like that. And then yarning over, pulling it through and through. And this creates the center hole of your granny. And this strand, I'm pretty much a trained person now. I don't cut my strand longer than I need to, but long enough that it gets stuck in there, and then I won't need to trim that either. So we're going to move to officially round number 1. I'm going to show you it differently than what it appears in the diagram, and because it's not the all-in-one, I can show you this way because it's my most preferred method. So I like to start my corners right there and then continue around and then finish the corner. The way that this pattern is written, it has you starting 1 stitch, then creates the space, and then creates the other side of the corner, and then you're going to finish it. For Bernat all-in-one, that works, but for me it doesn't, just generally, because I don't prefer that. So you do it the way that you prefer. So we're going to chain 3. That will count as your first double crochet. And because we're going to be playing in the spaces, this thick yarn is really easy to play with. So just open up the space and apply 2 more double crochet. Now the corners, when we're going to turn on this one, is chaining of 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then come back into the same center. Okay, I'm just putting that straggler wrapped around it so it gets stuck underneath, and put in 3 more double crochet. I quite like this color, by the way. It's got a phasing of the tones of the black. So how many to turn the corner? Yeah, that's right, it's chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. Come back into the middle and 3 more double crochet. Try that again. You don't see me doing it too much, but I'm just kind of pinching that straggler in to get it underneath. And eventually it'll disappear, which it just did. Okay, so we got 3 sides complete. 1 more side to do, chain 3 to turn. And coming into the center again, 3 double crochet. Now we've got to finish, so we got to chain 3 and join it to the first one here. So this is different than the way that that diagram is showing. So 1, 2, and 3, and slip stitch to the top of the first chain 3 that you started with. Okay, so that's done. So I'm going to just trim this long enough that I can get this into a tapestry needle. So don't waste too much of this stuff. And just loop it around the hook. And pull through. Pull it tight, okay? Now you're going to take a tapestry needle, and you'll do this every time that you're changing out your yarns. So I'll only show it to you once in this series, unless I have to show you it again. So turn it to the other side, so the back, and just drag it through the corner. So the next corner is going to be holding that into position, and you're going to go back and forth through different paths, a total of 3 times. Okay. And this yarn is nice and squishy. Now, if this was me, or if this was me and you weren't watching me, what I would do, you have to do 4 of these granny squares. I would do the other 3 at the exact same time before moving on to round number 2. You can decide to do that on your own, and I will leave that in your capable hands. But I'd like to know if you would like to do it that way, or do you like to do a whole square and then move on to the second? So let me know in the comments. I prefer doing them all rounds at the same time and then moving on. So let's move on to round number 2. So let's start round number 2. I'm going to be using Bernat Blanket Brights, and this is called Go Go Green, and I'm going to create a slip knot. Again, don't make it too much of a tail, it's just a waste, and pull through. Now, with the right side facing up, okay, so we turned it over to weave in our ends. See how it's kind of buckling like that? That's the wrong side. This is the right side. It's more flatter in appearance. Now, what you can do, you can grab any corner that you want to, and I tend to do that. I don't tend to grab the same corner that I finish off with, just to make sure that I don't end up with all of the tail ends on the same corner of a granny. So that's just my own personal preference. So I've chosen a different one. And you can do that when you're changing out yarns like that. So you're going to just pull the yarn through and through, and you were going to chain 3. So 1, 2, and 3, and put 2 more double crochet into the corner, and I'll be right back in just a moment. Now that the 3 are in, I'm going to use this tail and I'm going to secure it later. After the 3 are in, so you got the chain 3 and the 2, that's considered 3, just chain 1 to jump to the next corner. So just put the straggler out of the way, we'll deal with it at the end of this round. So the corners on this square are always going to be 3 double crochet, chain 3, 3 double crochet. So just remember triple 3. So here we go. So we're going to put 3 double crochet first. So 1, 2, and 3. And then to turn the corner, like before, is chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. So now you're going to put in 3 double crochet. So that's how you're going to handle your corners. So now you got to jump to the next space. So in the next space, in our case, in this round number 2, is the next corner. So you have to chain 1 to jump, and then do the triple 3. So 3 double crochet to start. Chain 3 to turn, and 3 double crochet. Bernat Blanket is a very fast yarn to work with. I like working with it. People say that they have pains in their hands from working with this yarn. That's because the yarn is so big that your motion is more exaggerated, and I've gotten used to it. So once your 3 are in, chain 1 to jump to your next space, which happens to be a corner. So if you're experiencing any kind of wrist pain, that's normal, because the motion is different from this type of yarn, the sizing versus 4-ply medium weight yarn. Okay. Chain 3 to turn, so 1, 2, 3, and then 3 more double crochet into the corner. so now we're going to come to your final corner. So we're going to chain 1 to jump, and we're going to finish this corner. So we already have half of it already started, and we're going to put the other 3 in there. So 1, 2, and 3. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and slip stitch it to the top of the first chain 3. So I've already shown you how to weave in your ends, so I'm going to trim that long enough that I can do that, but I want to call your attention to the other one. So just put it through the loop and pull through to lock it. But the other one that I went over, I'm just going to take my tapestry needle, and it's already kind of locked in there anyway because of the slip knot, but I'm just going to take it, the remaining of this, and just pass it back through a slightly different path in the opposite direction. And if you want to go one more time, you can. 3 is always a good number, but the slip knot has it locked in anyway, and then you can trim it. So do that, and you already know how to do this one. So turn it to the back side, weave it in to the corner only, and then I'll see you on round number 3. I'm now ready for my third color. So I finished here, so I'm gonna just choose another corner instead, so I don't end up with all the same corner, and create your slip knot. Again, don't waste too much yarn. So this color I'm using right now is Bernat Blanket in the color called Pale Gray. So you're noticing that I'm using Bernat Blanket Mystical, Bernat Blanket Swivel, and Bernat Blanket Brights, as well as Bernat Blanket. So there's actually 4 different brands that I'm using, but it's all the same in the sense of how it looks or how it's made. So we're going to start with a corner and going in and pulling it through, and you're going to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3, and put the next 2 over top of that straggler, and we'll finish that corner on the way back through when we come back around. And it helps if you actually grab the yarn and pull it through. Okay, so now we have the jump. So every time we jump, put the straggler behind, we'll deal with it later. Chain 1 to jump, and the next space is not a corner, so there's only going to be 3 double crochets in that corner, or sorry, in that space. So 1, 2, 3. So remember, chain 1 always jumps, and in the spaces is just 3 double crochet there, except for if it's a corner. So chain 1 to jump, and the next one is a corner. So do your triple 3, 3 double crochet, chain 3, and 3 double crochet. And now you're ready for another side. So chain 1 to jump, and your next space is there. It's not a corner, so there's going to be 3 double crochet in there. So we have 1, 2, and 3. And we have the jump, so chain 1 to jump, and then your corner is your next. So do your triple 3. Chain 3 to turn, and do your other 3 double crochet before you finish that corner. Just kind of line stuff up. You can move stuff around. It's just around on it's not actually in a stitch, it's just in the space. Okay, and good. And chain 1 to jump, go into your space, 3 double crochets in the space, chain 1 to jump, corners next. Do your triple 3. I'm starting fresh on the balls, so the balls are a little tight when you start, and then they'll loosen off. And I grabbed from the interior of the ball when I did it. Okay, chain 1 to jump, go into your space, and we're going to be heading to the final corner where we started in just a moment. So we're going to chain 1 to jump, and you're going to finish that corner of 3 double crochet. Chain 3 and join to the top with a slip stitch. Now I've already shown you how to weave in the end you went over, okay, and you know how to weave in the last one. So I want you to cut this color, weave in your ends, and I'll be right back and we'll start the 4th round in a moment. Okay, let's do your 4th round. Create your slip knot, and you can choose any corner. I'm going to choose a different one again. That is not the one I finished off before. And join it. So with the slip stitch to join, chain 3 and 2 double crochet back in. Make sure you go right up over top that straggler to capture it underneath the stitches, and then toss it to the back, and we'll deal with that later. So to jump, now you have 2 spaces before the next corner, so just chain 1 to jump, and then in each space you'll put in 3 double crochet. Chain 1 to jump. Next there's a space, so it's 3 double crochet. Chain 1 to jump, and then the next one is a corner, so do your triple 3. Okay, chain 1 to jump, space is next. Three double crochets in there, chain 1 to jump, space is next. Chain 1 to jump, and your corner's next. So do your triple 3. Chain 3 to turn, and your other 3 double crochet into that corner. Okay, chain 1 to jump, and then do your space. Chain 1 to jump. Chain 1 to jump, corners next. Do your triple 3. So if you're familiar with crochet, these granny squares don't take a long time, especially with thick yarn like this. So chain 3, 3 double crochet into the same corner, and we're coming on our final side. Chain 1 to jump, space, next. Chain 1 to jump, space is next. You could technically do a whole granny square blanket like this, by the way. Chain 1, and then your corners into your next. So in this particular cardigan today, we are only doing 5 rounds, but you can do as many as you wanted if you were doing something else. So you got your 3 in there, you're going to chain 3 and join. Trim your yarn, weave in your ends, and we'll do our final round together. And that will be next. The final color I'll be using today is Bernat Blanket Swivel, and this is called Beach Walk. So it transitions of striping kind of yarns, solids, just changes coloring that you'll see. So this is going to be the final round. So you want to join it to any one of the corners and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And then I am going to put 2 more double crochet, capture that straggler underneath. So it's exactly what you already know. You just got to do more of it because it's a bigger square now. Toss that to the back, chain 1 to jump, and then just go around your square. So if you're looking for a friend to crochet with, I'll just keep the camera on. But if you know what you're doing, at the end, just fasten off, and then you're done your granny square, and you just got the other 3 to do. But if you're looking for a friend, you can keep on going with me. So chain up 1 to jump, and 3 into the space. Like that. Chain 1 to jump, and space. So I'm really obsessed with this Bernat Blanket swivel yarn. I just like the coloring, the way that they chose how to color it up. It's fun. Chain 1 and then go into your corner. So when I was sitting in a meeting with Yarn Inspirations many years ago, I said, you know, the clothing takes forever. And they said, well, the blankets do too. But the difference is because your body is 3-dimensional, it actually is almost the equivalent of making a blanket, but it's clothing. So chain 3 to turn. And anyway, once I understood that perspective, I'm willing to spend 30 hours making a blanket, but I would probably spend less time making a garment of clothing, but it feels like it's slow. And yet it's probably faster than making a blanket, depending on your yarn, of course. So we're going to chain 1 to jump and keep on going. The color changing keeps me mentally interested. Chain 1 to jump. So one of the reasons, so this is a knot, I'm not going to worry about it, just leave it there. Just get it out of the way. It's going to be behind anyway. So when there's a knot like that, I try to make sure it's not on the front side of the work, and therefore you won't see it. Okay, chain 3 to jump. So the knot's not planned, it's just there. So I'm not even worried about it. They use a weaver's knot in the manufacturing, so those knots are almost impossible to get out. So chain up 1, and then your corners next. Do your triple 3. Chain 3 to turn. So I don't know what the front's going to look like yet. I'm just going to play it by ear and decide as I go. Okay, chain up 1 to jump. So I'll be right back in just a moment. The dog is bothering me. Hang on. So now's a good time to leave you a tip. I purposely cut my yarn, and I want to show you what I would do if that happened to you and you had a knot that you wanted to really cut out. What you would want to do is create a slip knot with the new strand that's going to the ball, and leave a long enough tail that you can deal with as far as like weaving it back and forth. I would change the yarn right at this moment. Not up here, I would change it down there. So instead of grabbing the other yarn you've been playing with, just put this on and pull that through the 2, and then just use that yarn and pull through. I'd also recommend, see this is the first one of the grouping of 3, take the 2 strands and do the other 2 right up over top of those 2 strands. So I would change the color at the beginning of a group like that and not the end, because you can weave on those ends easier. And you can pull things a little tighter. We'll deal with that at the end. So deal with that just like weaving it back and forth like I showed you. So chain up 1 and do your triple 3 in the corner. I don't know if tips like that help you or not, but that's what I would do. Chain 3 to turn. So if you want your granny squares to be a different color layout, that's up to you. You are the creator at the end of the day, but I'm going to do all 4 the same way. Chain up 1 to jump. The swivel kind of breaks up the coloring a bit. So chain up 1, another 3 in the next space, chain up 1, another space, chain up 1, and come into your final. So you're going to finish that final corner. Okay, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and join it to the top. So this is it for these squares. You can weave in your ends when you have time. And I would do it before we go into the next video. In the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to put our squares together. So you can see this is what it's going to look like. Let me zoom you out. Do I love it? I think I'll love it more once I see more of this project done. And, you know, you got really nothing to lose. And if you don't like anything, of course, you can rip it out and retry. So just take the time, weave in your ends that you had,